If you have opened your phone in the last 2 weeks and seen a headline calling this a housing crash, I need you to look at one number with me before you believe it. The real story is not a crash. The real story is that the market went on a 3-year sugar high, and it has now come all the way back down to exactly where it always should have been. I am going to prove that to you right now using real data, not headlines. My name is Katrina Doucett. I have spent 17 years selling real estate, and in that time, I have closed over $200 million in sales and ranked in the top 0.1% of every agent on the Toronto Real Estate Board. I am not here to sell you on anything today. I am here to show you what the numbers actually say. Every single week, someone calls our team and says some version of the same thing. They ask whether they should wait. They ask if this is the crash everyone keeps talking about. These are people who genuinely need to move for their family or for their life. And they are frozen because of something they read on Reddit or saw in the news the night before. My answer is always the same. Let's stop guessing and let's go look at the actual data together, because the actual data tells a very different story than the headlines do. So that is exactly what we're going to do right now. And before I get into the numbers, I want to mention something quickly. If you have been thinking about buying or selling anywhere in Aurora, Newmarket, or anywhere else in York Region this year, there is a link directly below this video where you can book a call with me. I would genuinely love to talk through your specific situation. Let me walk you through something I built specifically for this video using our paid TRREB data year by year. I'm starting with the full overview for York Region. This is 2015. York Region detached homes across every city in the region averaged $952,772. The average days on market that year was 21 days, and homes were selling 101% of asking price. This is a healthy, normal functioning market. And that 2015 number is exactly where I want to start, because here is the question I wanted to answer. If York Region real estate had simply grown at its real, actual historical pace every single year since 2015 with no boom and no bust, where would prices be sitting today? So I did the math properly. I took the real compound annual growth rate for York Region detached homes all the way from 2015 to 2025, and the number came out to 4.9%. I am rounding that to 5% just for this video. So 5% a year, not 10%, not 20%, 5% compounding every single year for a full decade. That is the real sustainable historical growth rate for this market. I'm going to pause us right here just for a moment. If everything you're seeing right now is making you think that maybe this is actually a smart time for you to make a move, that link in the description is the fastest way to get me looking at your specific situation. I do this every single day, and I know these streets block by block. Now, let's get back to the numbers. Watch what happens when we draw that 5% line forward from 2015. In 2016 and 2017, prices are already running a little hot, ahead of the line. Then 2018 brings a correction after the provincial fair housing plan, and prices pull back down toward the trend line. By 2019, the market is essentially sitting right on that line again. And then 2020 hits and everything changes. 2020 comes in at $1,278,000, and we are again pulling away from the trend line. 2021 jumps to $1,670,000, and now we are well above it. And then we hit February of 2022, the absolute peak of this market at $1,952,308 on average. That peak was not 10% above a healthy trend line. That was not 20% above. That February 2022 peak was 53% above where 5% steady growth said prices should be. That is the real distortion. That is what is actually unsustainable about this market. And now watch what happens after that peak. 2023 comes in at $1,676,569. 2024 sits at $1,662,832, and 2025 lands at $1,540,954. And here is the moment that matters most in this entire video. The 5% trend line for 2025 also lands at $1,540,000. Those two numbers are essentially identical. That is not a coincidence. That is the market completing a full roundup. It went up, it got far ahead of itself, and now it has come all the way back down to exactly where steady, healthy 5% growth said it should be. June 2026 year to date sits at $1,454,494, which is actually slightly below that trend line, if anything. This is not a market in crisis. This is a market that finished correcting roughly a year ago and has been sitting quietly at a healthy level ever since. Now let's zero in on Newmarket specifically, since this is often the more accessible entry point into York Region for families. The 2015 baseline for Newmarket detached homes was $700,687. The real 10-year compound growth rate here came to 5.6%. So I'm rounding to 5.5% for this market specifically. The 2022 peak for Newmarket came in at $1,382,275. By 2025, that number had come down to $1,270,063. And June 2026 year to date sits at $1,151,117. The 5.5% trend line for today lands right around that same number. Newmarket has fully returned to its long-run baseline, just like York Region as a whole. And if you need a 4-bedroom detached home specifically in Newmarket, here is what June 2026 looks like. 33 sales this month alone, averaging $1,210,248, with a median of $1,145,000. That is a real livable family-size home in a market that has normalized, not collapsed.
Here is what I really want you to understand after seeing all of this data. Most people are asking themselves whether this is the perfect time to buy or sell, but that is actually the wrong question. The real question is, what is the right decision for your specific life right now? Because the people I'm actually working with are not making financial bets. They are making life decisions. I am working with families who have completely outgrown their current home. 3 kids sharing 1 bedroom, needing a 4th bedroom, who have already waited 2 full years, hoping for a better moment. Their children are not getting any smaller while they wait, and the right timing for them is now, regardless of what the broader market is doing. I am also working with couples whose kids have already moved out, and they are sitting in a home that has become too large and too expensive for them to maintain. They do not need to perfectly time the market, they need to right-size their life. And I'm working with people who bought a starter home back in 2017 or 2018, who have built real, genuine equity, and who want to move up into a larger home, well, that move-up home has actually come back down in price. Now, what I'm seeing across all of these situations is that the buyers who are active today are serious and they are qualified. We are still seeing multiple offers happen on properties that are priced correctly. It is not 2021, where literally everything sold within 48 hours over asking. But the buyers who are out there right now are real, motivated buyers. And the sellers who price their home to match the actual 2026 market instead of 2021 or 2022 are selling. We had a listing go last month that was priced correctly from day 1, and it had 3 offers by the end of its 2nd week on market. The sellers who end up sitting on the market for 60 or 90 days are almost always the ones who came in expecting a 2022 number in a 2026 market. And that data genuinely backs all of this up. Across York Region this year, the average days on market is 31 days and the median is 20 days, which means half the homes that are selling in under 3 weeks.
Let me speak directly to 4 different groups of people watching this right now. If you are a seller who has been thinking about listing this year, your home has very likely returned to a realistic, sustainable value. This is not a discount. This is a correction back to what is genuinely normal. Price your home according to where the actual 2026 market sits, and it will sell. If you are a buyer who has been waiting for prices to fall even further, look closely at everything I just showed you. This market has already finished its correction and has settled into a real sustainable 5% long run line. You are not going to catch a market that has already found its floor by waiting longer. If you are a move-up buyer, listen carefully to this one. Both ends of your transaction have normalized. The home you are selling has corrected, but so is the home you want to buy. That spread between those two numbers may actually work better in your favor right now than it did during the peak. And if you bought near that February 2022 peak when prices were 53% above the real trend line, I am not going to sugarcoat this for you. Your paper equity position has likely come down since then. But if you do not need to sell today, you do not need to crystallize that loss. And if you do need to sell, then let's have an honest conversation about your real numbers before you make any decisions based on assumptions. Every single one of these situations deserves a real conversation with someone who looks at the data every single day, not a Reddit thread and not a headline. If this video gave you a clearer picture of what is actually happening in York Region right now, please share it with someone in your life who needs to see it. I made this because I am tired of watching good families freeze in place out of fear that simply is not supported by the real data. If you want to dig into your specific situation, whether that means running a comparative market analysis on your current home, figuring out exactly what you could buy right now, or simply having an honest conversation about the real numbers, the link is in the description below this video. It takes about 30 seconds to book a call. And if you want to see the complete TRREB data I used to build everything in this video, I have linked the full reports in the description as well. The market is not broken. The market has simply gone back to being normal, and normal still moves. Coming up next, I am doing a complete deep dive specifically on Stonehaven. So if you've been wondering what detached homes in your own neighborhood are actually selling for right now compared to where you think they are, that video is going to be an eye-opener. Hit subscribe so you do not miss it.